good kid. My parents were strict though. I
Oh,
wasn't even allowed to touch
I was
BB
a piece
guns
of
or
shit.
nothing.
I'm not gonna lie.
I wasn't allowed to roam around either, Rhea. You know,
I
my
was
parents
very
were,
sheltered. Yeah.
yeah. I was a very sheltered kid. Yes.
Yeah, my parents were strict, but I was just rebellious. I wasn't a bad
Same.
kid, but
There was
I
parts where
was
I was really
rebellious.
bad. There was parts where but now that I'm grown up, I'm like, yeah, I'd beat the shit out of my kids if I did what I did. Like I was bad. Like I did dumbass shit.
But my
But
dad,
like my kids now, like, they're all super well behaved, and I cannot take credit for that because I do not have the heart for discipline. I
yeah,
don't have the heart for it.
my dad was the free one, so he'll let me like. He's the reason I'm a nerd now and love the things that I do. So as far as the Nintendo stuff, though, I would want to see. My favorite Nintendo property
And animation or live action to answer that part too.
it'll have to be animation. Live action, I'm just not with it. I do not want to see none of these Nintendo properties adapted to
Dang, none of them.
live action. None of them.
Wow.
Why?
Zelda would lend itself to.
I mean, what if they just did like? What if it wasn't even Illumination? Like, what if it was just someone else to crack at it?
What do you mean of animated?
Of an
This stuff?
animated Nintendo property, like just I mean, any of them, like, you wouldn't.
It just can't be trash animation. Like there needs to be a standard set
Right.
for
That's fair.
for the animation. I think Legend of Zelda is my favorite Nintendo franchise. I would want to see that. Oh well, Max said without even thinking about Mario. So yeah, I would love to see a Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Movie.
just to like segue off of like what AJ's saying, I think the medium for animation makes the most sense because Link is he doesn't speak, so like if he were to like be verbal outside of him just like acting with his expressions and his body language, that would be a deterrent for me personally, like if they try to go full reign and like totally break the lore to that extent. And that's just me personally.
Me, princess.
spoke
No,
on
Zelda
the
absolutely
Super Mario
speaks. We need
Brothers
that guy.
show.
True.
just-
Yeah.
He did.
I just think with animation, you're already suspending your disbelief already, so it lends itself to the story and you believe in it. I think animation is a very respectable form of storytelling. So to see those in live action, it just comes with too many restrictions. Like, does this person look like the character that they're adapting? Can we, all of this big budget because you got to pay all these actors and then all these stunt doubles and all that type of stuff you got to deal with. Just draw it, just animate it, and then you don't have to think about any of that. If a person can imagine it, you can draw it on screen. Whereas live action,
work, yeah,
and it'll work. People will watch it.
Yeah, I agree. I would. What game from the Legend of Zelda series would you most like to have that graphic style of like or inspiration? Because for me, it would be Twilight Princess. But what about you?
I'm going to say Twilight Princess, but a lot of people say I'm biased because I love werewolves. So that is my favorite one. Link turned into a goddamn wolf. But also this whole dark realm. Ganondorf being the badass in that. The furries will come out for little Midna. I'm just saying like that'd be the perfect one to adapt. But I don't think it has to be that story. Because with a lot of these Nintendo properties, there is no like set story. It's kind of like just whatever the game gives you. But as far as a warrior fighting to save a kingdom, there's a princess, there's this big bad guy. I think that's pretty set. So we can adapt Legend of Zelda. I would want Twilight Princess, but again, I'm super biased and that's a later entry. I would have to take myself out of it and respect all of the people who played Legend of Zelda and loved those before he turned into a goddamn wolf.
Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Ocarina. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Like just story.
That's my favorite one, hands down. That's my favorite Zelda.
I would. The boy playing the little ocarina.
Oh, and then like a Zelda sequel, Majora's Mask. Oh my god, that would be so epic because that game is
so stressful, bro. I can't do a time limit.
Think about like the
stresses
tension
me out.
in that film. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, next person.
Wait a minute. Rhea, have you ever played
You remember the Wii?
Yes, yeah.
Did you ever play Link's crossbow training?
No, I'm aware of it though.
Oh,
I know
gotta
you
play
like those accessories where you're kind of like
Yeah,
that visceral
yeah.
connection to the game. Yeah,
It's
you're
like
about
a
it.
crossbow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
it's
didn't play
awesome.
that. I didn't play that. But I know on Twilight Princess on the Wii had motion control. I was swinging the shit out this sword. And then you had the little nunchuck that was your shield.
Yeah.
Bro, I never sat down playing that game.
I think I'd like to see Metroid, and I'd like
Yeah.
it live action.
That has
like a
huge
live-action
possibilities. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a grim, dark world.
With
that-
Brie Larson.
It's really good.
I agree with you,
that could be
Mac.
amazing.
That's
I
Samus.
mean, I can see the vision, Max. It's just that, like, to AJ's point, like the world that Samus is in, that is like so fantastical and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like it lends itself better to the medium of animation. And the character art that you actually have on the thumbnail, I don't know if that's like fan art or whatever.
Oh yeah,
but-
that's fair. That wasn't. I didn't do that. Someone did that. That's
Yeah.
animation. You would prefer something
Well,
like this.
no, like that's a little too stylized.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
looks like the little girl from what's that name in that movie? Like the fucking all of her emotions are inside of her.
And plus, like, Samus is not like that feminine presenting in her armor until maybe like later in
Okay.
the series. Like she was like basically ambiguous until like the end of like the first.
Oh, you
game.
want it to also follow that, Ray? Like they not even know it's maybe for the general audiences that don't know the movie or the franchise, don't even know it's a.
Right. All you see is a protagonist, and
Okay.
yeah,
And
like
today's audiences would declare that woke as soon as they got to the end. Woke bullshit.
Very true.
That's the modern audience.
I don't know. I get the like kind of comparison though to like maybe even like a Bo-Katan character. Not saying she has to like mirror that character specifically, but just knowing that this character Samus, they're in their suit like most of the time.
Yeah.
And like Other M, I know that that's a polarizing game as well. I think it's on the Wii. Yeah, like adapting that story for example, where like in that context, her being out of the suit and it has to be in the context of like why is she out of her suit? Is she Zero Suit Samus? Like I'm a fan of that version of her, but I would like to see more traditional, to be honest.
Well, I was just thinking Nintendo did the OG bait and switch when you got to the end of Metroid, the first game.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, like it has to make sense. Don't just like like through the first Metroid game, you are just following this protagonist, and when they reveal themselves, that is impactful because that is not what your perception of that character would have been. So yeah, like I want like that reveal to be impactful, basically.
Okay. Anyone else? Crazy Joe? I know you're not a huge Nintendo fan, but what movie would you want to see after Mario?
For me, that's super easy. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. So I love the.
Is Mike Tyson going to be cast in this movie?
You gotta have Mike Tyson in the movie. Number one, he's got to be in it.
Nintendo. He was the first one that was canceled.
I think he's uncanceled now, right? He has an animated show on Adult Swim.
He had the Mike Tyson Mysteries on Cartoon Network.
They took his name off the game back in the day.
But that's all right. You back the money truck up, he'll be there. You could have so much fun with that because like I'm a hardcore Rocky fan, and you could do like a Rocky story, but make it like next level, like fantasy. Look at the opponents that he fought in Punch, like the King Hippos and everyone. It's like you could just have so much fun with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. That really could be a really fun movie. If done,
hold on,
it could be a fun movie.
Stereotypical characters.
I was
that's
just
allowed.
thinking that.
so Kamikaze, you'll accept those, but you don't want to accept a toad saying Kongs can't ride in a cart.
No, how is it stereotypical? Little Mac, literally the game is called Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Okay,
It's literally called his game.
I guess King
opponents.
Hippo is kind of like fat shaming.
They had a Latin guy dancing who was feminine and flamenco dancing.
Okay, so like to
Tom Flamingo.
Kamikaze and AJ's point, like a lot of legacy Street Fighter characters, those were very stereotypical.
Oh, yeah,
but
T-Hawk
like
and-
we don't even like talk
T-Hawk.
about them in that context. We just like see
Bro,
them
you
as
remember
who they
In Living
are.
Color? Did anybody of you grow up with In Living Color, or am I that old?
No,
This
no.
was just normal
Yeah.
shit on TV, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, it's not okay. Like it's okay to
In
poke a
Living
little bit of
Color,
fun at
the
certain
kid
things.
show? Yeah.
A kid? It was
In
like a
Living
kid show.
Color, it
Anyway,
spawned Jim
anyway.
Carrey. Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched
Yes,
that.
Jim Carrey, Marlon
Yeah, me and
Wayans,
my
Damon
dad and my brother
Wayans.
used to watch In Living Color. You can do what you want.
Remember, there was a guy who was the
In
handicap
Living
man who was
Color.
like special needs and was a superhero. That's the type of
Handyman.
entertainment that we grew up with.
Handyman.
Right?
Yeah,
We
that was-
this is what we grew up with.
Yeah, but
Okay,
Yeah.
so like one thing though that I appreciate about the Super Mario Bros. Movie that came out this year is that they kind of acknowledge that there is this stereotypical, presentation of the Italian American household, and I think it was done like in a tasteful way. Like, oh yeah, this is like that family member. This is that trope from from Brooklyn. This is what we think of like with a stereotypical Italian family. But I didn't, me personally, I didn't get the sense of it being a negative. And they even acknowledged that in the commercial in the opening, like, they're hamming it up as far as like their accents, and then off cam, like they don't really speak that way. So I like it when it's like done in a way that satirizes the stereotypes, not so much like, like that's what the product is. Like I like when it is like, self-referential and aware.
I can tell you as an Italian guy who comes from an Italian family, most Italian people I know in my family and in the families of my friends, we have a sense of humor. We'll laugh at Italian stuff all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure there's someone who won't, but most of us, like my favorite Star Wars character is Watto because his name should have been Wapo. I mean, he was an Italian American stereotype. I could have seen him sitting around my grandmother's table on a Sunday, being like, "Hey, Annie, my boy, have another meatball." I mean, he was one of us.
So, Voltaire and Brucifer, what would you pick as Voltaire, go first. What would you pick as the next Nintendo movie?
Yeah, it naturally would have to be Zelda, in my opinion.
Zelda.
The size of the property. And
Do you want an original story, or is there a specific Zelda you'd like to see?
I'd like to go original and keep going with them. I think they should have a whole thing going, like movie after movie.
Absolutely fair.
In live action or animation?
Zelda. See, you could do Zelda live action.
Yeah.
Like a
You
Game of
could do
Thrones type
Zelda
of thing.
live action and you could do it well.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, you can do live action, but I think if they're going to do a universe, they can't do that. Like, it has to be.
You got to get a young person to play Link. Back in the day, you could have got. Think about this. Back in the day, you could have got DiCaprio to play Link. That would have went out seamlessly.
River
Nothing about that
Phoenix.
dude looks like Link to me.
I was about to say River Phoenix, but yeah, like that's a no-go.
Get that guy who's in Dune to do it or something like that. He
Our
looks-
generation's James Dean, River Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah,
How
he
would
was
you-
up there.
Yeah, he
Even
would
though-
have worked.
Even though we want to see that, how would they make the silent protagonist?
No,
Right.
they wouldn't do that. They would have to have him have a voice actor. They would have to. They would just have to escape that whole thing.
So I saw in Tears of the Kingdom, did I see Zelda like actually speaking?
think so.
That's all he's going to do.
Right, yeah, I think like those verbal like, grunts were something that that's a concession that I can see live action executing well. It's just like the full on like sentence and like, dialogue with like their surrounding characters and stuff. That is something that I'm not 100% convinced that live action can pull off as well as animation.
If he doesn't say "excuse me, princess," then I'm fucking out. I don't want no part of it. If he doesn't say that in the live action, if he speaks, don't fucking talk to me. Don't call
I don't
me.
understand. The Watcher says connected universe. I don't see how you could connect them. These are two wildly different worlds. Like Mario is so different from Metroid, which is so different from Zelda. Like they don't really connect.
Yeah.
I can see Little Mac being in Mario Real World.
Right? Yes. Yes.
I can see that happening. And Star Fox,
could be cool.
they're in the stars, and that's why I say I don't think Metroid or Star Fox we need to jump there because they haven't shown us to create a competent enough story to introduce elements that vast. But I would love to stay here on Earth and expand out into space. So those movies would have to come later. But I
that's
at
the
least
good thing
know
that Marvel did, and that would be a good recipe. Yeah.
Yeah, but and not to hate on the Mario movie more, but if we are trying to connect these things, that Bowser cannot stand up to a Ganondorf. So just things like that I'm thinking about within the context of Nintendo worlds or these Nintendo properties is like, how are these things going to cross over? Like I'm reading this Power Ranger Ninja Turtle comic book right now, and Shredder and Rita Repulsa have like done their okay. Well, we gotta come together to defeat our enemies, but then we'll fight like later type thing. Like I don't see those two characters being competent.
I never got into Power Rangers. I don't know shit about Power
some
Rangers.
other topics too, but Brucifer and Talati, did you have a pick for what you want to see if the next Nintendo movie in live action animation?
Sure. I want to see F-Zero starring The Rock with the cast from Fast and the Furious.
That's out of left field. Yeah, I can
there
see
you
it.
go, right there.
There you go. Yeah, I'd watch the fuck out of that shit. Yo, that would be fire. Yo, they might as well be. That's what they're doing already. I mean, shit, these motherfuckers jumping out of airplanes. And
for me personally, I think what the next film should be after Super Mario Brothers should be Donkey Kong chronologically in animation, because it makes logical sense to try and have that because it's part of the same universe. You know, it can work out.
Mm-hmm. Cal, did you have one that you want to see from Nintendo next movie after Mario?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say you didn't ask me, but anyway. I would like to see Final Fantasy, man. I just want to see a Final Fantasy movie. And as I've stated many and many a time again, just make a Metal Gear Solid movie. It's not that hard.
For Nintendo, though. Nintendo.
Just make it. I will
watch what Nintendo property, not video game adaptation, what Nintendo adaptation would you like to see?
Well, I already said it. I said
Super Scope movie.
What I say first?
Huh?
I already said it. What I say first?
You said Final Fantasy.
That's not.
Technically, Nintendo Final Fantasy kind of started on Nintendo.
No, that's Square. That's PlayStation. That's
but they started on Nintendo.
Yeah, it was exclusive to Nintendo.
Well, if you want to say that, SquareSoft made Final Fantasy as well. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think where Cal's going. Yeah, he's thinking what was on the Super Nintendo. He's thinking
but why man?
I'll make a concession for Cal. Like, I don't know if you've ever played Fire Emblem. That might, be the closest thing to a Final Fantasy
but I
you
did
can
play
get.
Chrono Trigger. Did you ever play Chrono Trigger?
Yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily a Nintendo property. We're talking about like first party ones. I believe Fire Emblem is a Nintendo owned property.
I'm sorry, I'm not that
Fire Emblem. I don't understand that.
No, which one is the first tier or second tier? I don't fucking know. But anyway,
it's a good time. Yeah.
I'm going with Cal. I want Final Fantasy for Nintendo.
I'm like,
Final Fantasy movie, and
it's gotten animated films already.
No
like
Final
Fantasy.
I know it does, but I want to see it done right. Okay. I want to see a big screen.
I'm with you, Cal.
Make
the Final Fantasy movie, Nintendo. Make it.
Advent Children was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie.
Did you see the other one too? The second part where Sephiroth comes back as he always does.
No, I saw some Spirits Within. I think the title.
Advent Children was cool. I love Final Fantasy VII. That's easily hands down my favorite one.
Yeah, I think if we're going the same style of Nintendo, I would like to see a Mana adaptation.
Man,
I was
yeah,
I don't know
was
nothing
feeling
about
right.
that. I can't speak to that.
Oh my gosh, AJ, I need to DM you the 2D animated like trailer for Mana that was like only seen overseas. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but like
Yeah, I have.
yes, I love it. Saturday morning Mana cartoon. We were
Oh,
robbed
really?
of that too.
Really?
I
Yes.
want to see.
Oh.
I want to see some a Mana series like cartoon. I'm trying to
I
get the
never
art
got
book,
into that. That's crazy. That's cool.
and
Yeah.
that way we can get those Final Fantasy elements, but we can keep it kind of light.
Yeah.
You know, beautiful, colorful characters. We can still get a chocobo in there.
What about? I only played one of them, so
Mhm.
don't at me. I only played one of them.
I only played a couple.
Kingdom
Oh,
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. Oh,
Yeah.
Uh,
that's not happening, man. I love Kingdom Hearts.
It's just
That's
a
not
movie
happening.
already. Shit.
I was just like talking to Max about like I tried to like learn how to play Kingdom Hearts last year, like after not having access to it for so long, and oh my gosh, like the fighting system, all these like different things that you can like level up and allocate points to, and different like gosh, like it
good
was
game.
really overwhelming for me personally. I don't know, maybe I didn't spend enough time with it to learn